Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dulcimerica, and Happy New Year. Happy 2019 to you. My name is Bing Futch, and we're going to kick off the brand new year, the 12th season of Dulcimerica, by taking a look at the most traditional tuning for the mountain dulcimer, CGG, also known as 155 tuning in the key of C. A lot of people think this is a baby's tuning. It's for beginners only. But it's very, very complex, and there's a lot of really cool things you can do with it. But it also is a great way to start your journey with the mountain dulcimer. And I know a lot of you probably got dulcimers for Christmas, so this will be a perfect episode to kick off the new year. Before I go any further, though, I want to say thank you and give a big shout out to one of my patrons on Patreon, Teresa Johnson. Teresa, thank you very, very much for your contributions every single day, helping to keep Dulcimerica running and everything that I do back here in Casa de Milagro Studios running as well. I thank you, and I thank all my patrons for being a part of my art, and it's the little tiny things that just need doing every single day, from maintaining the software, the lights, the cameras, to the server farms and all the stuff that goes into keeping all of our episodes up on all of its many different platforms. It's a very, very important thing that you do, and I am very, very grateful to every single one of you out there. And Teresa, again, thank you very much. Now, if you're wondering what Patreon's all about, it's basically a subscription service for my art, music, my video, all that stuff. And if you just pledge $5 a month, you can get access to every single I've ever produced. That means all my books, all CDs, all videos, all the tablature, everything that I've ever done. Plus, you get everything new that's produced every single week. If you want to find out more about it, you can go right on down here to patreon.com/bingfutch. Check out the featured tag section, look at all the open house posts, download all that stuff, and think about joining me every single day, just like Teresa and all my patrons. Again, thank you all very much. So let's get into CGG tuning here. I've got some charts I'll be displaying on the screen so you can see what we're looking at. But basically, when we're in CGG tuning, this is the tuning that you'll find in the Gene Ritchie Dulcimer book from the 50s. And you'll find all kinds of references to it. But a lot of people don't tune in CGG or CGC anymore because somewhere along the line, we were all convinced as mountain dulcimer players to tune up to D. So for us, DAA would be what is more commonly played these days, although it is still fairly uncommon when everybody else is playing DAD tuning. So I love CGG for a lot of different reasons. It's a nice, rich tuning. All the chords have this nice, rich complexity to them. The voicing is nice, close, and you can tell when you're playing major chords and minor chords very easily. And it works really well if you want to sing along with it, especially being down in the key of C, because it doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female, singing in the key of D can be very difficult. But just taking it a step down to the key of C makes it a lot easier to work with. So let me show you what we've got here. Of course, we've got our bass string tuned to C, and then we've got middle string and melody string tuned to G. So that's going to change where all of our notes are located. So if you take a look at the tuning chart, we start with C on the bass string. Now bear in mind that the tuning chart does not include the 1.5 fret, so I'm going to include that in there. So we'd walk up and go C, D, D sharp, E, F, G, A, B flat, B, and then C at the octave at the 7th fret. From the open on the middle string and the melody string, we start with G, then A, then B flat, then B, C, D, E, F, F sharp, and G the octave at the 7th fret. So we have some different notes in there, and we have some different chord possibilities along with that as well. Now, for every single time we play in a key, and we have those 7 notes of the scale, we've got a number of chords that we can play. We have 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and 1 diminished chord. But the most important of these chords are going to be the major chords because they're the ones used by so many different cultures all around the world. Once you learn those 3 major chords in every key, you can literally play hundreds and thousands of songs. So for the key of C, those three chords are based off the first, fourth, and fifth notes of the scale. C being the first one, or the root, C, D, E, F, F being the fourth, and then G being the fifth. So C, F, G are the three chords that are going to be used over and over again. Let me show you what those chords are, starting off right here. When I call out these numbers, I'm referring to the bass string first, then the middle string, and then the melody string. So a 2-0-3 chord would be 2 on the bass, nothing, open on the middle, and 3 on the melody. That's going to give us a C chord. As you can see, I'm using my index finger on the bass string, my thumb on the melody string. Very easy, 2-finger chord. Now I'm just going to move the index finger up 1 fret and then drop my ring finger down on the first fret on the middle string. And now here we have our F chord. Based off the fourth note of the scale, we can also call that the 4 chord. Now if we pick up our ring finger off the middle string and drop the index finger back down to the 2nd fret on the bass string, keep the thumb where it is, we're back to the 1 chord, or C. And to get the 5 chord, very, very simple. Just keep this configuration with your thumb and the index finger and slide it down. Once again, I do have a 1.5 fret here, so if you don't have the 1.5 fret, you're going to have these 2 fingers in fret spaces that are right next to each other. But going 1, 0, 2, 1 on the bass string open or nothing on the middle string, and 2 on the melody string, and that's going to give you G. Based off the 5th note of the scale, that's going to be our 5 chord. Slide it right on back up for C, the 1 chord, and then change into our T-shaped configuration. 3, 1, 3 are the numbers here for our 4 chord. Take it back down to the 1 chord, and then go to the 5 chord. Come on back up to the 1, to the 4 chord, back down to 1, to 5, back up to 1. Those are the 3 most popular chords in any key, and if you learn those chords, and here they're very easy, just using 2 fingers a couple of times, you can easily get in and jam along with somebody playing in the key of C. So since we've taken a little bit of a dip into what our chords are and what our chord shapes are, let's go ahead and take a look at how you can figure the rest of the chord shapes from this tuning. So let me show you first of all the T-shaped chord again. If you were to connect the dots between the 3, 1, and 3 here, you'd see that we would be crossing across the 3rd fret. That's the top of the T. The trunk of the T would shoot right down the middle string. And again, if you just ignore the 1.5 fret for a second, you can see this chord shape will span about 3 fret spaces. So top of your T, then skip that next fret, and then go down and plant on the middle string. And that will give you either a major or a minor chord, depending on where on the fretboard you're located. And how you tell what that chord is called is whatever you're playing on the bass string. That's going to be the root of the chord. So in this case, the root of the chord right there at the 3rd fret is F. So we know that that is going to be an F chord. And then you listen to the nature of the chord, whether it's major or minor. If it's major, it sounds up and happy. If it's minor, it sounds kind of serious and sad. So listen to this chord. That's kind of up and happy, and we also happen to know that that is one of the 3 major chords. So that's a major chord. Move it up to 4-2-4. And here we'll play a bit of musical concentration. We're playing a G on the bass string at the 4th fret. Listening to that chord, we can tell that that is up and happy sounding. So that's a G major chord. Compare that chord with our 103 chord that we first learned down here. Back to our 424. Yes, those are the exact same chords. They're both G major. They sound a bit different because the voicing, where the pitches of the notes inside of that chord are located, are different, but the chord itself is the same. So when you find two different instances of a chord, it's always a good idea to review them so that you can get them situated up in your head. But if I keep moving this up to 5-3-5, that doesn't sound so up and happy. That sounds kind of somber and serious. So we know now that we've got a minor chord that we're working with. And if we take a look at our notes, we had F right here at the 3rd fret, we had G here at the 4th fret, and we have A up here at the 5th fret. So this is an A minor chord. So just by knowing where the root of the chord is located and by telling the difference between a major chord and a minor chord, you can then learn all the chords on your fretboard just by using the note location chart and the 3 chord shape. So once again, that is the T shape that we're working with right there. Our next shape is the triangle shape. And you can see how I am connecting the dots for the triangle. It's a very wide and sort of lopsided triangle. And what we're doing here is connecting those dots. And the root of this chord is going to be on the middle string. So whatever we're playing on the middle string is going to be the root of our chord. So since we know that we're playing a C on the middle string, we can listen to the nature of the chord. It's up, it's happy, so that's a C major chord. If we were to take it down to a, and that was a 4-3-5 chord that we were just playing there. If I move this down to a 2-1-3 chord, listen to the nature of that chord. That's kind of sad and somber. That's going to be a minor chord, and on the middle string we are playing an A. So that is A minor. Now where else did we just recently have an A minor chord? That 5-3-5 T-shaped chord. Go ahead and play that. And then come on down to your triangle shape A minor chord. Once again, you can see that it is basically the same chord. Some of the pitches inside of the chord have changed, so the voicing of the chord has changed, but the notes are still the same notes, and we've got A minor both here and here. Again, making these comparisons between similar chords or the same chords with different voices will help you to learn all of the locations of these chords all across the fretboard. So we've got our T-shaped chord, and then we've got our triangle chord. One thing to notice about the triangle chord is that we've got our middle string and we've got our melody string, and they're tuned the same. So does it make any difference whether the thumb and the ring finger are on the string closest to you or on the middle string? It does to a certain degree, because when you think about it, our melody string is where we're doing a lot of our work. And that's why I like to keep my thumb on this string so that I can come out of this chord shape and also play melody. Of course, it will also work like that, but it would be very difficult to work the melody with your ring finger or middle finger or even pinky. So sometimes that can be a point of confusion, and I wanted to clear that up. Make sure that as our triangle is lopsided this way, that's going to give you the benefit of being able to play on the melody string with your thumb. Now, we're going to take this shape and we're going to extend it, meaning we're going to take these two, like we did with the 203 shape and the 102 shape. Out of this shape, we're going to move those together up like that, and leave this finger planted at the 3rd fret. And that's going to give us our extended triangle. So we're just taking the triangle and we're just going to stretch the top part of it like this. And this shape, where we have our 2 fingers here and then a big gap and then our next finger, the root is going to be on the melody string. Now we know that we've got an F natural right here at the 6th fret. So this is going to be an F major chord, which means that we can go from the 1 chord using the triangle here, and then just move these 2 fingers up into an extended triangle and get our 4 chord. And while we're doing that, let's go ahead and take a look at another F major chord, which is going to be 3-1-3. Compare that with the 5-3-6. 3-1-3-T, 5-3-6, extended triangle. Once again, the same chord, different voicing. So again, it's going to help you to find your way around the fretboard when doing that. Those are the three basic chord shapes: T, triangle, and extended triangle. Let me also show you the scale. So because the way the mountain dulcimer is laid out with whole steps and half steps, all the wide spaces in between frets are whole steps, all the narrow spaces in between frets are half steps. What we have is a diatonic fretboard, which means it's got 7 notes in the scale as opposed to 12 notes, all half steps, in the chromatic scale. That means that we can't get major and minor chords for every note in the scale. That means sometimes we get major and sometimes we get minor. And so that can be a little confusing sometimes, but as long as you can hear the difference between major and minor, you should be okay. But I'm going to show you that our scale is going to begin from the 3rd fret, and we'll go all the way up to the 10th fret, and we won't use the 6.5 fret. So we're going to walk up from 3 to 10 and not use the 6.5 to get our scale. It also helps to go up and down the scale and say the name of each note: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The more you do that, and you don't have to do it that fast, you can do it as slow as you like. The more you do that, the more you'll start to be able to actually see where those notes are located, and that's going to help you name those chords using the root points that we talked about a little bit earlier. A couple of things about tuning down to CGG from your standard tuning of DAD or DAA is that we're going to take a little bit of tension off the strings, and that's going to make the strings a bit more pliable, which means it'll be a lot easier for you to press down hard and bend them a little further than normal. That's going to create some intonation problems with you if you've got a heavy touch like I do. So what you'll want to do is, if you really enjoy playing down in C, get your gauges bumped up at least 1 number for each of those strings. So if you're using a 0.014 on your melody string, then I would use a 0.015, bump it up. In fact, I use a 0.016 normally. Middle string, I'd go 0.016. Bass string, you could probably get away with 0.024. You could even bump it up to a 0.026 just to make the feel about the same as it was when you were playing in DAA or DAD tuning, because those strings get very pliable and it's very easy to make them go sharp because they don't have as much resistance to your touch. I love this tuning because of the voicing. The chords are nice and they're tight and they're rich. And it's easier to sing with, of course. And it just sounds nice, especially if you've got a really, really big dulcimer, like a church dulcimer. And it just, that rich sound just fills up. It's almost like playing a baritone dulcimer, which is really, really nice. So I hope that you'll explore CGG tuning, maybe for those of you who like to sing with the dulcimer, and maybe just to give you a different color palette to work with as you're working on your own material. Play with it a little bit every day. And if you have a couple of extra dulcimers laying around, maybe keep one tuned in CGG and then come back to it and play with it often, and I think you will enjoy it an awful lot. So again, everybody, thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back next week with a lot more stuff. We're going to continue along a fundamental path for a little bit for those of you who may have joined the Mountain Dulcimer family just recently. And then we'll start to take you into other locations around the instrument. So, for Dulcimerica, this is Bing Futch. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you again soon.